Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's that time of the year. Time for my top 10 comic books of 2019. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, this is Pop Culture Philosophers, and I'm about to list my top 10 comic books of 2019. This was such a fantastic year for comic books, and I've been doing these top 10 lists here on YouTube for the last couple years. If you haven't checked out those previous videos, you definitely should. But there are just so many fantastic books that were out this year. I almost wanted to do a top 25, but I didn't want to throw an hour and a half long video out there. But there's so much great stuff out. But this is what I'm considering the top 10. And a precursor, I'm just going to say some books from one of my co-publishers of the year, Boom Studios, may not have made it because they haven't finished their initial story arcs. And I got a new rule about you got to have completed at least one initial story arc for my consideration. I got to see how you nail that ending. Anyway, without much further ado, here are my top 10 comic books of 2019. At number 10, we have Canto from IDW Publishing, written by David Boer, artwork by Drew Zucker, coloring by Vittorio Astoni, and lettering by Darren Bennett. What can I say about Canto? It's amazing. Every single issue that came out this year, 6 issues in the initial series and a second volume coming out in 2020. This book, every single issue made my top 10 list. It was such an amazing comic book. It's a great, beautiful fairy tale that is perfectly written, right? It gets to the heart of story, right? The basic idea of Canto is there's this race of beings. They have had their hearts replaced with clocks. Their time ticks down, runs out. There's this one, they're not allowed to have names. One of them has a name. His name is Canto. And he decides that because his love, the love of his life, is dying. And even love is a concept that they shouldn't be into, right? But he goes on this hero's quest, this journey to find his dying love's heart. This book is a fairy tale. It's fantasy. But it's very direct. It's very direct to the heart and nature of story, including not even ignoring the brutal nature of the reality of story, right? This book started off super strong, continued that momentum all the way through, and then really at the end had a very gut punch, real ending that I really found to actually be quite refreshing. I thought the writing on this was absolutely amazing. The artwork by Zucker is fantastic, especially enhanced by the coloring of Vittorio Astoni, in my opinion, the colorist of the year. Absolutely beautiful work. Darren Bennett rounds out that team on the lettering. Canto from IDW Publishing makes my number 10. At number 9, we have Ice Cream Man from Image Comics, written by W. Maxwell Prince, with artwork by Martin Morazzo, Chris O'Halloran on the coloring, and good old Neon on the lettering. Ice Cream Man made my top 10 last year. It makes the top 10 again because the book has continued to just deliver exceptional, high-quality, standalone, one-shot stories with an overarching mystery that gets more confusing and clear as we go. I absolutely love Ice Cream Man. I think that if you like horror anthologies, if you like really weird existential, philosophical pontifications on reality and life and sorrow and despair and hope and bitterness and all that kind of stuff, this book is right for you. It's got a tone that no comic book can quite catch. Everything that came out this year from Dark Horse is kind of close, but Ice Cream Man really stands out. Each issue is its own story, but there is this overall mystery. This Ice Cream Man shows up in somebody's life, and all of a sudden, their life gets really, really sorrowful, full of despair, weird, absurd, and sometimes hopeful. And this book really balances all of that well. You got Morazzo's artwork, crisp, clean, and clear. You got the bright, sickly, sweet colors of Chris O'Halloran and good old Neon, providing that lettering that hits that punch, that really captures the texture and atmosphere that this entire book does. Ice Cream Man, number 9 on the list this year. Number 8 is Sentient from TKO Studios, written by Jeff Lemire with artwork by Gabriel Walta and lettering by Steve Wands. Sentient was amazing. So TKO came out earlier this year. They had a release of books. They're pretty decent, right? Now Wave 2 is hit, and Sentient, to me, stands far and above the rest of them. There are great books from TKO, but Sentient hit me, and it hit me real, and it hit me hard. It's written by Jeff Lemire, in my opinion, the writer of the year. Absolutely just prolific, So many ideas, just profound ideas, interesting concepts, great dialogue, able to make things fun, adventurous, action-packed, horrific. Just, he can handle any genre. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Sentient is a sci-fi book, and it's about this ship filled with colonists, right? Leaving Earth, going to a planet where there's an Earth colony out there, and tragedy strikes and all of the adults die on the ship. Therefore, because they're in a year-long communication blackout with Earth and the colony, now the AI of the ship's AI has to kind of become the mother for the children. And it's such a fantastic book. It's great. The artwork is amazing. The coloring, the texture that's provided by Walt's artwork, it's beautiful. We haven't really seen a lot of ongoing work from Walta since Vision and Doctor Strange with Donny Cates and Vision with Tom King. But this is what he's been doing, is working on this book. It's amazing. It hits hard. It hits all those emotional chords. It's a great story. It's something I would love to see a movie of. It's one of my favorite science fiction books of the year. Number 7 is Friendo, from Vault Comics, written by Alex Packnadel, artwork by Martin Simmons, coloring by Dee Cunniffe, and lettering by Taylor Esposito. An absolutely fantastic book. You know how much I love and respect what Vault Comics is doing, and you know how much I love and respect what the White Noise Writer Creative Studio is doing. I absolutely love it. Friendo is amazing. It's a bleak look at a very near possible future where everything's about marketing and advertising, and corporations, they get away with anything, and there's crazy stuff going on. It's a book about need. It's a book about trying to find a way in these postmodern times, if you will. I absolutely love it. Alex Packnadel, Martin Simmons and company, they've done such a great job with this book, building out this atmosphere. It's bleak, it's science fiction, it's wild, it's violent, it's funny, it's raucous, it's rambunctious. It's so much fun, Friendo is. It will make you laugh, it will make you think, and it will make you shy away from the violence. Meanwhile, you're peeking at what's going on. It really gets to the heart of what it's trying to tell. It's got a great kind of subtle, not so subtle sometimes, allegory and metaphor or whatever you want to call it, along with Wizard of Oz. I absolutely love Friendo. Me and Brian have actually filmed an episode of Comics Revisited all about Friendo that will debut in 2020, so keep an eye out for that. We're going to get really deep into that book, but I'm going to tell you this. Vault is an amazing comic book company, and Friendo was an absolutely astounding comic book. Number 6 is also from Vault. It's Fearscape, written by Ryan O'Sullivan, artwork by Andrea Muti, coloring by Vladimir Pavlov, and lettering by Darren Bennett. An absolutely fantastic book. Fearscape actually made the top 10 list last year, and I kind of forgot about that. I guess that we had 3 issues out or something like that. Kind of got delayed. The last few issues came out this year. It got collected into a trade paperback. Fearscape's amazing. It's deep. It's real. It gets to the nature and the heart of story, right? I was mentioning how Canto kind of had a direct connection from story to the soul, right? That direct connection that story has with the soul. Well, what Fearscape does is it takes story and it kind of deconstructs it and figures out what makes it work and stuff like that. Basically, the idea of Fearscape is that once in every generation or something like that, right? A slayer is born. No, just kidding. But every so often, a muse has to come from this ethereal Fearscape reality or whatever, right? They have to come and find the greatest storyteller mankind has to offer. This storyteller, they will go into the Fearscape and defeat the fears of all of mankind, and therefore we are safe for another generation. But what if a muse didn't really find the best storyteller, but found a plagiarist and copycat of the best storyteller, right? It's an interesting idea. The book gets way deeper than that. It's got a twist towards the end. It's got twists all throughout. It's amazing. The artwork is ethereal. It glides you through. The lettering, everything about this book is pitch perfect. It's literary. It's deep. It's layered. It's nuanced. And at the same time, it's none of that stuff. Fearscape is, and Fearscape isn't. And that's kind of what I got to say about that. Number 6 on the list. Number 5 is kind of a tie. It's House of X Powers of 10 from Jonathan Hickman, Pepe Larraz, and R.B. Silva on the artwork, Marte Gracia on the coloring, Clayton Cowles on the lettering, Tom Mueller on the design work from Marvel Comics. This is the only big 2 mainstream book that makes it on my top 10 this year because, to me, Hoxpox, because it really is, it's not really a tie, it's one book, right? It was such a monumental achievement. really completely shifting everything about the X-Men. You know, you find out about Moira, you get this whole new vision for the future of mutants in the Marvel Universe, you got Krakoa, and they declared themselves a sovereign nation. They demand respect and rights and a place at the world seat. They have their own quiet council. It led to Dawn of X, and Dawn of X has kind of been up and down, hit or miss at times, but for the most part good. But Hoxpox was just, God damn it, it was amazing all the way through. This book was amazing. It was brilliant. It was so good. I haven't felt a game change in mainstream comics like this since, like, I don't know, like New X-Men or something. Like, at least in the X-Men universe, I'll say that, okay? You know, because I'm kind of like riding on the tails of it right now. But I absolutely love it. What Jonathan Hickman did, he reimagined the world of the X-Men. This is completely different. And some would say contrary to what the X-Men actually are and what they represent, right? Some would say that. But to me, the idea that they could completely invert those ideas, change a lot of shit around, and be completely different, and have the majority of fandom not only go along with it, but entice and bring back old fandom to come back. That was amazing. The artwork is dynamic and fluid. It hits hard. Silva and Laraz, they both do amazing work. Gracia on the artwork, oh my goodness, the coloring is beautiful and brilliant. Mueller's design work, Cal's lettering. Really study the lettering in these X-Men books right now. I know a lot of people don't pay attention to lettering. I feel like it's my job to pay attention to it. I'm encouraging you, pay attention to the lettering in the House of X, Powers of 10 book, and all the other Dawn of X books, but especially the Clayton Cowles stuff from Hoxpox. Pay attention to that lettering. Look at some of the unique things that you've never seen before. Certain things. Bold words, italics words, bold italics words. What does it all mean? Where's the emphasis? I don't know, but that's what makes great lettering stand out. Notice it. But Hoxpox, definitely one of the biggest things that happened in comic books this year. It makes my top 10. At number 4, we have another repeater from Vault Comics, Wasted Space, written by Michael Morisi, artwork by Hayden Sherman, coloring by Jason Wordie, lettering by Jim Campbell. Wasted Space continues to be one of my favorite comic books on shelves. I absolutely love it. It made my top 10 last year. It made the top 5 last year because it's such an exceptional book. That was its first arc. This year, it's had a second arc, and it started a third. And this book is amazing. Michael Morisi is one of the preeminent comic book writers of the future. This cat loves Star Wars, you can tell. But it's not all just Star Wars ripoffs or anything like that. It's definitely kind of like the grim and dirty side of Star Wars with his own ideas thrown in there. Wasted Space, to me, has been such a great amalgam of taking all these different ideas, these different philosophies of life and politics and society, and really kind of laying them all out on the dissection table and just tearing them apart, right? Now, the book itself is about a former prophet of the creator, of a god-type figure who has led the galaxy into this like tyrannical, empirical reign, right? And so he's dealing with that in a bad way by going off and wasting space, basically. He's out in the galaxy just doing bad stuff, drinking, doing drugs, all to excess, just not really doing anything with his life, no momentum forward. And now he has a calling to go and make the creator answer for himself. It's kind of like Preacher in space. Preacher meets Star Wars in a way with a little bit of Philip K. Dick thrown in there because it's the philosophy. It's the idea, taking all these ideologies, throwing them out on the table, breaking them apart, slicing them up, and seeing what we as a society can actually take and work with, and what's just absurd and trivial and nonsense, right? Wasted Space is a book that I think is it's one of the most important comic books of the last 10 years. I really do. I think Wasted Space, I cannot speak and sing its praises enough. Hayden Sherman's artwork, it may not seem like it's to your liking at first. Seriously, get into it. Hayden Sherman is a master. To me, the artist of the year. Between Wasted Space, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Monster Hunter, and what was it? Thumbs. Oh my goodness. Hayden Sherman is a very prolific artist. He's a very diverse artist. He does a lot of different styles, but he's got his own style that kind of brings it all together. It's the glue that holds it all together. But he's capable of doing so many things, and his artwork is just getting better and better and better. His artwork in Wasted Space is amazing. It's a complex detailed, gritty, grimy side of the universe. Jason Wordie's colors provide extra texture and grit to that. And then Jim Campbell, I can't think of anybody else lettering a Michael Morisi book because I don't know if anybody else has lettered a Michael Morisi book, but it's fantastic. He really takes those ideas, those words, and presents them in a way that's easily digestible through the page that helps enhance the flow of the entire book. Wasted Space, my number 4. My number 3, another repeater, Gideon Falls from Image Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, artwork by Andrea Sorrentino, coloring by Dave Stewart, lettering by Steve Wands. Gideon Falls didn't just excel last year, it made my number 1 comic book of the year. This year it's not quite number 1, but it definitely kept that momentum going. It revealed so much about the story. When I look at the video I did, Best of 2018 last year, and I'm like, you don't know anything about Gideon Falls. Gideon Falls continues to develop this very interesting story along with this mystery that keeps going right alongside it. I love it. It's gone from just an urban horror book into a cosmic horror book. I love it. I love it so much. It's Lovecraftian at times, but overall it's Lemirian. Jeff Lemire, the writer of the year, again, 2 years in a row for me. This dude's so prolific, so many great ideas. I think his best idea right now is Gideon Falls. This book hits me. It hits me hard. It's moody, it's atmospheric, it's dark, it's deep. It reaches inside, twists the shadow within, if you know what I'm talking about. Great stuff. Gideon Falls' artwork, Andrea Sorrentino and Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart's a legend when it comes to colorists in the comic book industry. Dave Stewart, to me, is probably the best colorist of all time. There you go. This cat's got so many damn Eisners, right? Sorrentino's artwork, too. Oh, my goodness. This book couldn't exist without this artwork. It all works together. You got to have Lemire. You got to have Sorrentino. You got to have Stewart. You got to have Wands. That lettering ties it all together. Provides a lot of atmosphere and grit as well. Such a great book. Gideon Falls, I say so much about it. It's consistently in my top 5 every week that it comes out. I always say it's a great new comic book day when Gideon Falls comes out. And I mean that because it's one of the best books on shelves and has been for 2 years. At number 2, we have These Savage Shores from Vault Comics, written by Ram V, artwork by Sumit Kumar, the coloring by Vittorio Astoni, and lettering by Aditya Bidikar. These Savage Shores is balls-to-the-wall, badass, and awesome, and I think it might be one of the best Vault comics ever done. It's a 5-issue series. It's done now. The trade is out. It's collected in a nice graphic novel form. I have the local comic book shop day foil edition, really super cool stuff. These Savage Shores is great. It's set in like the 1700s. It's set in India. It's about when England was kind of like going through, you know, the British Empire. It was coming in. It was trying to move into India. You got the you know, all that different stuff, the warring nations and all that kind of stuff. Really fun, right? So it's historical horror, but it's also very dark fantasy, right? It really dives deep into Indian mythology. It pulls some stuff out. It merges it with a vampire type thing. So it's a vampire story, right? So as the West is invading into India, vampires are coming in, right? So it seems like a very thinly veiled, easy theme, but no, there's nothing easy about the themes in These Savage Shores. Ram V does such a great job of telling a nuanced, detailed, culturally rich story, and just rich as far as story goes. This book, the characters, it's easy to pick a side, obviously, but it also shows that all sides have monsters, and it takes monsters to fight monsters. This is a story about imperialism. It's a story about freedom. It's a story about the monster within. It's a story about coming to terms with the monster within. Because if you don't come to terms with the monster within, like as Jung would say, if you ignore your shadow, it's going to wreak havoc or something like that, right? And this book is amazing. Sumit Kumar, I think nobody does the 9-panel grid quite like him. He takes a constrained form of storytelling in a very gritty, you know, not gritty, but gritty, like grid panels. He takes that structure. It's very solid. It's very, you know, it holds you in. It's like a prison almost, right? He makes it breathe. The artwork has so much space. It's spacious artwork. It's beautiful. You add in the coloring by Vittorio Astoni. To me, the best colorist in the business right now. Fantastic stuff. The artwork is absolutely to die for. The story is rich. And the more you read it, the more your life will be enriched. Is that a word? It doesn't matter. These Savage Shores, number 2 on the list. And at number 1, Little Bird. This is no surprise. From Image Comics, written by Darcy Van Polgeest, artwork by Ian Bertram, coloring by Matt Hollingsworth, lettering by Aditya Bidikar. This book is the shit. It's amazing. I love it. There's I almost called this as the pick of the week when I first read issue number 1. I got an early look. I did an advanced review. It started my love affair with this book. Darcy Van Polgees, he's a filmmaker. This book is amazing. It does such a great job of delicate, non-exposition-y world building. It tells the story through images. It tells the story through words, but not using words as like a force to shove the story down your throat. This book is nuanced. It's subtle, yet it's direct. It's rich thematically, and it's hyper-violent. It's grotesque. It's gruesome. It's got so much just craziness in it. It's a science fiction book, and it really brings that out. So you got this idea. The whole idea behind Little Bird is basically that the United States is now kind of taken over and has become the United Nations of the Vatican, right? It's become a theocracy. And there's a last pocket of resistance up in the north in Canada, and it's the people of Little Bird, right? Her people kind of get wiped out, enslaved, stuff like that. And now she has to bring that fight of freedom against this theocracy. This is a story about freedom. It's violent, it's direct, and it's subtle. This book is so amazing. It's nuanced, and it's just in your face all at the same time. Darcy Van Polgees, such a great job with this. Telling the story the way he did. It's coming back with Precious Metal in 2020. So excited. Ian Bertram's artwork, detailed, textured, amazing layouts and composition. You add in that coloring by Matt Hollingsworth. Oh my goodness, this is the cat that colored Preacher. Amazing coloring work on this book. And then Aditya Bidikar, who also lettered my number 2, The Savage Shores. Aditya Bidikar, to me, is the best letterer in the business right now. Look at the style, look at the tales, look at everything, look at the fonts, look at each book and how Bidikar will approach each book differently. And why is he making the choices that he's making in the lettering? Pay attention to stuff like that, because it really helps enhance the nuance and the directness of the story, especially with Little Bird. To me, my favorite comic book of the year. Anyway, that's what I think. What do you think? What are your top 10 comic books of 2019? Let me know in the comments down below, because we should all have a different list, right? Let's keep the conversation going. 2019 was a great year for comics, better than 2018 and 2017, and I'm looking forward to an even better 2020. Fantastic stuff. So thank you so much for checking out the video. Thank you so much for your support here for the channel. We've grown. We hit 5,000 subscribers this year. Next year, we're aiming for 10,000 subscribers. That can only happen if you jump in and join the PCP Army. You can do so officially at Facebook. It's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. But really just like, share, subscribe, share this channel. Let people know this is a great community to come into and share positivity about pop culture, comic books, movies, television, and a whole lot more. We really do appreciate everything. We hope you have a happy holiday season, a great new year. We'll see you in 2020. Don't worry, still plenty more videos to come this year. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. You've been awesome. Thanks for rocking with us. Have a great one.